Hello, and welcome to our virtual tree planting demonstration. This video is designed to be generic, so please watch out for more specific instructions the day of the event. In this video, we are going to go over some basic tree planting practices, COVID safety, how to tie arbor ties, tool safety, and then overall general safety. COVID-19 guidelines. We ask that before arriving, you monitor any symptoms and not attend the event if you have any symptoms or have been exposed to the COVID virus. When you arrive at the tree planting event, please arrive wearing long sleeves, pants, closed-toed shoes, and a hat. Additionally, follow all directions sent to you by our event coordinators. The event will be designated with CDC and other applicable health recommendations in mind to help prevent large group gathering and maintain social distancing and a hygienic environment. Please bring as many of your own items as possible, such as a reusable water bottle, sunscreen, snacks, gloves, and a mask if you would like. AZSA will provide all of the above in case you don't have them, but you can help us maintain social distancing practices and limit our interactions by bringing these kinds of items yourself. When you arrive at the event, there will be signs directing you to where you need to check in. You will sign in at the table and wait for the AZSA tree planting manager to provide further instructions on the various activities that will be taking place at the tree planting event. In order to properly plant a tree, you will need to follow the next steps. First, tree inspection. Right before you place the tree in the hole, you will want to take the tree out of the container and inspect it. If you are having a difficult time removing the tree from the container, you can hit the container with a shovel or roll it around and it should come out. If you are still unable to remove it, please ask for assistance. Before you fully remove it, please be cautious. Sometimes the soil is extremely loose, and once you remove it all from the container, the entire root ball can fall apart. If this is the case, we will want to place the root ball directly in the hole. Please ask for assistance because this will take more than one person to do so. Next, you will want to be on the lookout for circling roots. You will notice the roots circling around the root ball. If there are any roots like this, please cut with shears. Additionally, be on the lookout for a root that is going in one direction and then suddenly changes direction. If you do see something like this, make sure to cut the root before it changes directions. Otherwise, it will just continue to grow in that direction. We are going to want to rough up the sides. You can either do that with your fingers or shears or a box cutter. Also, every once in a while, you're going to see some roots that are circling around the root ball. That's because, the tree was grown in the ground and then it was placed into a container, and those roots were trying to look for water, so they're circling the root ball trying to find that water source. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to take shears and cut those roots, which is totally safe for the tree. It's actually going to save the tree because that can cause the tree to be strangled and eventually die because it constrains it as it grows. When you arrive at the tree planting site, there will be marks where the trees will be planted. The trees will either be set next to the hole where it will be planted, or an AZSA leader will instruct you on which tree needs to go in which location. In most cases, the hole you will need to dig has already been pre-dug for you with an auger due to the extremely compact soil. Therefore, you will need to dig out the soil deep enough that the top of the root ball is at least even with the top of the soil, or even a bit above. We do not want the tree to be planted below the surface because that can cause the tree to suffocate. See about where that grass level is. It's about right here. Then you can go ahead and walk over to your root ball. See about where that is. So as you can see, it's a little high. So we're actually probably going to add a little bit of soil in there, which is totally fine. We have some of this dirt that's left over from what was inside of the container. That's extremely helpful for the tree. We want the ground to be soft because we want the roots to be able to expand through the soil. If they run into that really difficult caliche, or if the dirt's really difficult, it's going to be a lot harder for them to move through there. This is a digging bar. This is extremely useful for breaking up the compact soil at the surface level, or to also break up the soil. You can always use it like this to make the hole a bit wider, which is really useful. And then you can also use it inside of the hole to break up a lot of that soil. It's a lot easier to sometimes use this, and then you can use that shovel to dig a lot of that out. When not using the shovel, please set it face down and be cautious when carrying it around. Also be extremely cautious when utilizing the digging bar. This tool is very heavy, so be sure to keep an eye out on your surroundings when you are digging or your partner is using it as well. We do not want the root ball to be too high or too low. Too high can lead to the roots being susceptible to sun scald, and too low can lead to the tree suffocating underneath all the soil. We want the top of the root ball to be even with the top of the soil or slightly above the soil to account for any sinkage that might occur. Next, you will need to determine if your tree has a graft. The graft will be at the bottom of the tree trunk and is basically an open wound on the trunk. In order to prevent any sun scald to the graft, please face away from the sun. Therefore, it needs to face as north as possible. If there is no graft, the direction of the tree does not necessarily matter, but can be moved in a particular direction based on location of the stakes. If you have any leftover soil from the tree container, please be sure to include that in the hole with the tree. The soil is very beneficial for the tree. Before you move on to the next step, please double check the height with an AZSA leader to ensure no changes need to be made. Once the tree is placed in the hole and is the proper height, you are going to put the 2 lodge poles in order to ensure the tree will be stable during heavy winds. The lodge poles will need to go inside of the hole next to the root ball, but make sure not to penetrate the root ball because that can lead to the tree dying. So when you place your lodge poles in the ground, they are going to be perpendicular to the prevailing wind. So in this case, east to west is this direction. So we're going to place those north and south. Once you know what direction the lodge poles will be facing, see if how you originally placed the tree is going to be problematic. If there is no graft, you have the capability of moving the tree in any direction. One thing you need to make sure is that the branches of the tree are not directly on top of the lodge poles. Once you are happy with the direction of the tree and the location of the lodge poles, you will need to get a hard hat so you can begin hammering the poles into the ground. If you do not immediately see a hard hat or a post hole driver, please ask an AZSA leader to bring one to you. Once you and your digging partner both have hard hats on, you can begin to use the post hole driver. One person will hold the lodge pole in place and one person will use the driver. The person using the driver will need to place the open side of the tool over the lodge pole, hold onto the handles, and slam down the tool onto the pole. You will need to do this multiple times in order to firmly place the pole into the ground. Once you are satisfied with how sturdy the pole is, you can begin to backfill the dirt around the tree and lodge poles. So once you have put your tree and the lodge poles in the ground and you've backfilled all the dirt, you are going to be ready to attach the tree to the lodge poles using these Arbor Ties. An AZSA staff person will be walking around handing these out. So be patient. We only have a couple rolls, so they'll come to you as soon as they can. But we are going to cut you 2 pieces. One is going to be a little bit longer. So we're going to take the longer one, which is probably this one. You can start on either side, it doesn't matter. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a stopper knot. So we're going to go ahead, just a simple knot, just like that. And then we're going to go around the tree. So you're going to put the knot around the tree. You are going to want to make a little cross like this. On the outside of the knot closest to you, you're going to cross your thumb right there. And then you're going to wrap this around. Then it's going to go through the center. And then the tail is going to go through where your thumb is. Pull it all the way through. You're not going to want to pull it super tight. That was my biggest issue. You pull it super tight, it's going to roll on itself and it's not going to be able to slide. The point of this is that it's a slip knot. So as you can see, looks a little loose. It's also, if anybody knows how to tie a tie, it's technically a single Windsor. But as you can see, this stopper knot is going to prevent it from getting too tight around the tree. And then as you can see, it's going to be able to loosen when that tree grows. And then you're going to create another stopper knot at the end so the knot doesn't fall off. And the point is that you don't want these to be pulling on the tree, you want them to be pulling on each other. So we're just going to put it through here, make a simple knot. Once you make your simple knot right here, you're just going to do the same thing you did on the other side. Wrap it around the tree. This one I have a little bit extra. I'm going to wrap it around a couple times. And then just a very simple double knot. But we want it to be tight on that lodge pole. We don't want it to be tight on the tree. As you can see, these are pulling against each other. It's not pulling on the tree. During heavy monsoon winds and things like that, the tree is going to be able to blow in the wind. And and not reliant on this, but this is going to keep it straight up and not, it's going to prevent it from falling over. Our tool safety guidelines highlight the various tools that might be available to you during the tree planting. These include shovels, digging bars, post hole drivers, box cutters, and shears. Remember when carrying tools to keep an eye out on your surroundings to avoid collisions and keep the blade of the tool facing down and in front of you. Always use tools as directed and ask for assistance if you have any questions. Different tools may be used for different purposes, depending on the task you have been given. Shovels are generally used for digging and removing soil. Digging bars are used to break up the hard soil, making it easier for the shovel and to also score the sides of the inside of the hole. Postal drivers are used to pound the lodgepole securely into the ground. Shears can be used for cutting circling roots and breaking up the compact soil of the root ball. And lastly, box cutters will be used for breaking up the root ball soil if shears are not around, and cutting the tape off trees, and also in rare cases, cutting arbor ties. For our general safety tips, please remember that anytime you're doing physical labor outside, there are a few things to always keep in mind. Making sure to follow all safety directions on site, taking breaks when you need to, making sure to give yourself a break before you get too hot, making sure you are hydrated, drinking plenty of water while you're working, and asking for help if you need it. We will have water and snacks available to you while at the cleanup and the tree planting event, so if you need to refill your water bottle or need a bite to eat, these will be at the sign-in table. If you or anyone near you needs medical assistance, please locate an AZSA leader immediately. And lastly, if you need any additional information or have any further questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to the contact in coordination with your specific event. And we appreciate all the volunteers that come and help us plant trees throughout Arizona.